What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about Ottawa's weird transit system. And to be honest, I really have no idea what that means. So, by transit system, I assume that this is talking about public transportation, but I'm not exactly sure how that is weird. So, here in America, most of us actually drive cars. Our public transportation system is really scarce and frankly bad in a lot of places. So I'm really curious to learn about how this works in Canada and specifically Ottawa and why it's weird. So let's take a look.
Ottawa is Canada's capital. It's supposed to be the ideal city, the
Oh,
example. This is supposed to be what represents the whole country. Darn it,
oh. Do a lot of Canadians think like that? Here in the United States, Washington, D.C. is our capital, but do I think Washington, D.C., the city, is like the representative city of the United States? No, I think most Americans don't. Most Americans don't even really know what the Washington, D.C. looks like, other than the government buildings. So I don't know if this is true in Canada or not.
they even have a whole commission called the National Capital Commission, which was mandated to, and I state, to build a great capital for Canadians,
Oh,
specifically by preparing plans for and assist in the development, conservation, and improvement of the National Capital Region, in order that
oh.
the nature and character of the seat of the government may be in accordance with its national significance.
There's a whole Canadian government, like department or whatever you want to call it, that sole purpose is making Ottawa awesome. Well, that's really great, but if that's true, then I guess you do have to scrutinize Ottawa and be like, hey, is it awesome?
Now, that's just a lot of fancy words to say that it needs to be cool. Ottawa
Cool.
is a rather large city in Canadian terms, with a metro region of 1.4 million people, making
Wow.
it the fourth largest city in Canada.
Yeah, I always used to think of Canada as Ottawa. Like when I thought of a city, I was like Ottawa. Well, first I used to get Ottawa and Ontario confused. Then I was like, okay, Ottawa, capital of Canada. Now I feel like on the internet, I see more videos and stuff about Toronto, which is the biggest city in Canada, right? So it's kind of like here in America. A lot of Americans think New York City is like the American city, not Washington D.C. So yeah, just something like I'm kind of thinking about here. Is Ottawa the Canadian city or is Toronto? I don't know.
It was also the fourth city in Canada to introduce light rail transit system. However, this
Oh,
system is quite unusual. Ottawa
light rail transit system. Rail as in train? What is a light train system, I guess?
now has two lines and will be focused on its electric Confederation line, which
Ooh.
opened in 2019. It runs east west, supplementing the north south Trillium line, which runs diesel and runs west of the city center. The
Okay.
Confederation line is totally grade separated thanks to the use of light railroading equipment and technology. That is what makes it so strange. You see,
Wow.
the Ottawa O train uses trams, which you'll normally see on the roadways in an urban setting.
Okay. This is already, I'm kind of in over my head here. Unless you're an American who lives in a major city, like New York City, for most of the United States, for most of our cities and towns and at least medium sized and small, There's no trains and streetcars and light electric rails. I don't know about any of this stuff. So it's interesting, but I'm not sure what part of it is weird in particular because it's all kind of weird to me.
Usually replacing busy bus routes. They're typically employed when a metro
Okay, so I think he's saying the weird thing is this here.
sounds, which you'll normally
What are they called?
makes it so strange. You see, the Ottawa O train uses trams,
Oh, he calls it trams. I call these street cars. Okay, we'll call them trams. The trams go on the railroad?
which you'll normally see on the roadways in an urban setting, usually replacing busy bus routes.
Okay.
They're typically employed when a metro subway system is unsuitable or to supplement an existing metro system.
So these are the things where there's actual rails built into the road where cars are going, right? I've never been on one of these, but they seem really cool.
However, Ottawa's LRT system is a little different in that it uses trams that are completely grade separated, which means they never cross or come in touch with the road.
Oh!
This, as you can imagine, has already ballooned costs. Ottawa's trams
Okay.
are also unique in that they follow a more European tram model. For example, while Calgary's C-Train uses high-floor tram models, Ottawa took a different route, using lower flow models.
Holy cow, this guy knows a lot about trains and trams and public transport. He knows the differences between the different models of trams. That's insane. This guy knows what he's talking about. Okay, so far I think I'm following along. These are trams, but they never go on the road, which is strange, apparently.
Which are usually designed for low curb stops, like in a road. Which is kinda strange given that Calgary is at grade and the Ottawa O train is not. But continuing from that tangent, the O train has had a lot of problems, so let's go over them quickly.
Oh. Yeah, and the whole premise of this, let's not forget, is Ottawa is supposed to be awesome. There's a government initiative by Canada to spend money, work on Ottawa, make it this outstanding representative of how great Canadian ingenuity and city building can be. And we're saying, okay, with all that, why does this tram rail thing have issues then? Okay.
The trains has suffered difficulty after issues from the line's inception. Door faults brought the trains to halt in the system's early weeks. And this could be due to the way the O train is actually used. Because the O train is grade separated, it can run as frequently as a metro, so this system essentially replaces the metro system from Ottawa.
Okay.
The problem is that
that
these
bad?
little trams aren't designed for the bustling cities that metros are. The automated doors of the vehicles used by Ottawa's Confederation lines experience faults if pried open or held back by passengers.
So this person, the narrator wants like official full like train subway car. I don't know what you would call it, a normal rail car. And he's saying these tram things are not cutting it. They're not suitable for the like reality and logistics of heavy public use. Basically, interesting.
This results in numerous service disruptions, some lasting up to 90 minutes due to the lack of proper procedures to isolate and disable the faulty doors while a train was in
Okay.
service.
It is annoying.
This could have been avoided if the city had chosen an I-grade system as the train was designed for, or just use a metro service.
Okay.
Another issue was the heating. As you can see, it gets
It also has it has like power cords above it. Like power lines. Like it has to touch the cords above it at all times to get. Is that how it gets power? It's cool that this thing is electric, very environmentally friendly there. But I don't know. This guy clearly has a lot of grievances with it. I feel like he lives in Ottawa and he's just like made this whole video voicing every grievance against this public transport tram system that they went with.
Another issue was the heating. As you can see, it gets pretty cold in Ottawa during the winter,
Yeah.
and this tram was supposed to be built for it. However, the train's interior heating system have been reported to be insufficient in Ottawa's sub-zero winter temperatures, forcing OC Transpo to consider adding heaters to the vehicles. Not only that, but the actual construction of this tram appears to be, well, shaky to say the least.
Shaky? The tram is shoddily put together? Yeah, I mean, if you're in Canada, I'm shocked that heating is an issue. Canada is known for being cold. For us Americans, it's kind of bewildering to me that they skimped out on the heating system. Ottawa kind of dropped the ball on this one, huh?
The least. See, the original order for the Citadis Spirit, which is the tram the O train uses, came from the city of Ottawa in 2019. And since 2020, well, let me just tell you all the issues. Cracks were first discovered on two wheels of a vehicle during standard maintenance on July 2nd, 2020.
Ooh.
Following a check of all cars, two more wheels were discovered to have cracks, for a total of 4 across 3 separate vehicles.
Jeez.
As a result, half of the fleet is being kept out of service each day, so that each of the vehicle's wheels can be inspected before the vehicle is returned to operation.
What?
The Transport Safety Board of Canada initiated an independent investigation into the situation on July 10th of 2020. The city...
Wow, I think this guy actually has a point. Are there other people in Ottawa who feel this way? There must be. If this thing is going offline, they have to take some of them offline to check the wheels because they get cracks. You're freezing cold when you go in these things. Huh, that's really unfortunate. But here in America, this is like something we would anticipate with in America, our government has a very, very bad reputation with how it delegates basically the budget, funds, money, building things. If it's made by the government, it's usually like people are rolling their eyes like, oh, geez. So it kind of seems like that happened here in Ottawa.
The city announced on September of 2020 that their contractor had discovered that the fundamental cause of the problem was poorly positioned screws that put tension on the wheels,
What?
resulting in the cracks. In 2021, an out-of-service train partially derailed when a single wheel came off the track after crossing a switch. The following day, all cars were removed from service pending an inquiry into the primary cause.
Oh
The
my
owners
God.
of the tram RTG first revealed that the derailment could have been caused by a problem within the axe barrel assembly. On July 20,
That's terrifying. The tram derailed. That should not, in this day and age, that should not happen. Like, because it's because of these like cracked wheel things, though, which are because of improperly aligned screws, or jeez, Louise.
23rd, 2022, after an inspection discovered a failure in one of the wheel hub assemblies, all trains that had traveled more than 175,000 kilometers were pulled out of service for
Wow.
additional inspections.
And this is just costing the Canadian taxpayers more and more money. Why did they go with this tram system instead of like the legit, I don't know what you call it, like a train cab, like whatever the normal subway, train, cars and cabs are? Those are obviously much more robust. Why did they go with this electric tram thing? Was it to save money or something?
According to Ottawa Transit riders, having another serious incident less than 3 years after the system's inception raises some concerns.
Yeah.
All train service were suspended on July 17, 2023, due to another bearing issue identified during a routine inspection.
Did he say all of the train cabs? Trams. We're calling them trams. All the trams were taken offline for the whole day. I mean, imagine what that does. A lot of people must depend on this system if you're living in like Ottawa and not a lot of people have cars, I imagine, if you have a system like this. Like, that's more than just an inconvenience. That's disrupting the entire city.
All of these concerns do begin to add up at some point, especially when you consider that the construction of this grade separate track was also an absolute nightmare. You see, the construction of the
Jeez.
Confederation line began in April of 2013. On February 21st, 2014, a sinkhole appeared on Waller Street near the Rideau station while the RTG constructed the downtown tunnel. No one was injured, and the RTG claims that the sinkhole won't cause any delay in the construction.
Okay.
According to the consortium's analysis, the reason was an old construction trench that was not discovered during testing.
Okay.
But that isn't all. You see, on June 8th, 2016, a massive sinkhole opened near one of the downtown stations.
Oh my God. Is this what happens when you try to do construction in random parts of the city? You just discover, is there anything they could have done about this? Like, or is this just a naturally occurring thing? I don't really know whose fault this is, but it's kind of scary that this is just below the road.
Causing a gas leak. No one was hurt, but one person's van fell into the sinkhole, and businesses along the streets were evacuated. The cause was later revealed to be loose sandy soil under the roadway, which had been disturbed by the work. The street was closed for 6 months, and the LRT project was delayed. The city's investigation into the cause was not made public for some months, and the city chose not to hire an independent investigator to investigate the sinkhole cause. Instead,
Oh my God, this guy has done his research. Like, this guy is fed up and he has done the research. He knows everything about, like, what they reported with the investigations and the problems building these lines, and holy cow.
employing the same technical specialist who was already working on the rail line. According to the city's rail director, they didn't see this as a conflict of interest because these experts were already familiar with the project. On November 10, 2016, workers are stranded after a part of the downtown tunnel falls. 3 workers from the LRT subcontractor Hard Rock Constructions are trapped. All 3
Whoa.
require assistance, and one has a slight hand injury.
Whoa.
Fortunately, that was the end of the construction errors. But all this negative press has brought a lot of public resentment on the project, and people
Okay.
are even wondering if it will all be worth it.
Okay.
On my end, I say this project can be great and still has the potential to be great if the city can just get their thing straight, and when they start something, they don't deviate plans 100 times and just mesh a monster of a transit system.
Yeah.
If you've enjoyed this video,
Wow. Oh my God. I did enjoy that. That was a really niche, specific sort of video about this really unique, specific problem in Ottawa. And it was really well researched and well articulated by this channel, Geo Nerd. I want to give him credit for this because this was amazing. Like, such detail. I feel like this guy has such a grievance against the Ottawa transit system and the Ottawa government that he just went to town with this video. I had no idea. I don't know. This kind of just makes me feel like I can relate to Canada. Like, even sometimes your government does projects like this and people roll your eyes and you're like, oh my God. Some of the stuff with the building of it, like, what can you do if there's a sinkhole? You know, things happen. But as for choosing the trams, the electric tram streetcar design for the light rail system they built in Ottawa, I don't know what they can do to fix that at this point. He seems to be saying that the train itself is breaking down and wheels are cracking and it has bad heat. And I hope they find a way to fix all this. The Ottawa government should watch this video, really, because this guy knows what he's talking about. So I actually really enjoyed this. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on any of this. If you're Canadian, this affects you. If you're from Ottawa, That'd be very interesting to hear if you know anything about this or have an opinion about this. That'd be awesome to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and learning about Canadian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.